Hello and welcome to the How to Survive podcast, episode 126. My name is Joe and joining me as ever is Chris. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well. First time recording in the new year.
Yeah.
People will be confused because we had an episode out last week, but it's a broadcasting trick.
Yeah, we pre-recorded that to ensure the constant supply of quality content.
Yeah, last week, of course, was Spider-Man. This week, The Fly.
Yeah.
Flyman. Next week, Birdman.
That's not true.
No. You get it though, right?
Escalating animals.
Things swallowed by an old lady.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
And the week after that, a fork. Isn't that what she then swallows?
No, she's swallowed a spider to catch the fly. She swallowed the bird to catch the spider. She swallowed a cat to catch the bird, a dog to catch the cat, a horse to catch the dog.
God.
I don't know why she swallowed the fly.
This is like some sort of eldritch nightmare.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's not a new theme for the podcast. Actually, next week is The Void.
Yes. We're doing The Fly, not just because it rhymes nicely with Spider-Man. I meant rhymes in a thematic sense, in a George Lucas sense. Yeah. But also because of the amazing practical effects.
Yes.
It's the 1986 version of The Fly, by the way, directed by David Cronenberg, starring Jeff Goldblum.
Yes. Very good. Well, we'll recap the plot and then we'll talk about the movie, what we liked, what we didn't like, and then we'll talk about how we would survive if we found ourselves accidentally turned into a fly.
Yeah.
Well, that's coming up after this quick message from our sponsor.
I think you're making a mistake. I think you really want to talk to me.
Sorry, I have 3 other interviews to do before this party's over.
Yeah, but they're not working on something that'll change the world as we know it.
They say they are.
Yeah, but they're lying.
There is a limit, even to the imagination.
Human teleportation, molecular decimation, breakdown, and reformation is inherently purging.
Where our greatest creations meet our deepest fears.
Something went wrong, Seth. When you went through, something went wrong.
You are about to go beyond that limit.
Those weird hairs that were growing out of your back, I had them analyzed. But they were definitely not human.
If you saw how scared and angry and desperate he is.
I'm sure Typhoid Mary was a very nice person, too, when you saw her socially.
No!
You're afraid to be destroyed and recreated, aren't you?
You're changing, Seth. Everything about you is changing.
Oh, no. What's happening to me? Am I dying?
I want to know what's going on.
What does the disease want?
Wants to turn me into something else.
Oh, no.
A fly got into the transmitter pod with me that first time when I was alone.
Don't go back to it. It could be contagious.
I'm afraid!
Don't be afraid.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
So The Fly, Chris. The Fly by David Cronenberg.
Yes.
Dr. Seth Brundle is a scientist who has it all.
Yeah.
Brains, looks, and a seemingly unlimited research grant from a conveniently shady corporation.
Weyland-Yutani, no doubt.
Yes. It's not. I think the name's different.
It's not.
No,
it's fine.
Seth has been developing a method of teleporting objects through space from one gigantic teleportation pod to another. He can successfully transport inanimate objects, but as yet struggles to successfully transport living beings. Seth meets Veronica, a reporter for the scientific magazine Particle. In an attempt to seduce her, Seth shows her the teleporter in action, not realising that he was on the record and that she was taping the whole conversation.
Oh, no.
Seth begs her not to run the story, but Veronica's boss and ex-boyfriend, Stathis Borans, wants her to run the story anyway, seemingly to undermine Veronica's burgeoning relationship with Seth. Veronica agrees not to run the story and instead to write a book documenting Seth's full project, his life story, culminating in the successful teleportation of himself. The two fall in love as they spend more time together, and eventually Seth attempts to transport a baboon through the teleportation device, but accidentally turns it inside out.
Yeah, it's early doors impressive practical effect, and also
minging.
Yeah, it's you wouldn't want to get in that teleportation pod.
No, you wouldn't. for many reasons, as we'll see. He soon realizes where he's been going wrong in terms of turning things inside out and fixes it, eventually sending a second baboon through completely safely. Seth and Veronica toast the job well done, but Stathis baits Veronica into confronting him in his office. While she's gone, Seth grows drunk and jealous and decides to put himself through the teleporter. Unfortunately, Seth doesn't realise a fly has become trapped in the same pod as him, and although the teleportation is successful, Seth now has his DNA spliced with the flies.
Yeah, although the film doesn't make that completely clear until much later in the film. Although you know it,
yeah.
like obviously you know it.
Yeah, like immediately. I think that the computer display says like fly DNA eradicated.
Yeah,
and it's like, right, okay. Right. Seth initially exhibits the best traits of a fly, including super strength, agility, balance, no need for sleep, and incredible love-making stamina.
Flies are known for that last one.
Then he develops some less useful fly traits, such as excessive consumption of sugary foods, being irritating, megalomania, and an uncontrollable sex addiction.
Yeah, and also making this noise all the time. For the rest of the film.
Yeah, exactly. Something of a soundtrack. All of this forces Veronica away, and while she's gone, Seth develops the even less useful fly traits of coarse black hairs all over his body, terrible weeping lesions, a lack of fingernails, a lack of teeth, a lack of ears, bloating and degradation of skin, spraying enzymatic fluid from his fingers, hideous growths on all his joints, complete loss of sanity, a need to consume all food by first vomiting on it and then sucking it back up, an incessant twitching, and all that said, he can actually walk on walls and ceilings, which is quite useful. Veronica seeks the help of Stathis and realises that she's pregnant with Seth's child, and that she got pregnant as well after he'd turned it into half man, half fly.
Well, it's never confirmed necessarily, but it's that's what she's worried about.
Exactly.
And she has a dream.
Yeah, she does a premonitory dream in which she gives birth to a giant maggot.
Yeah, genuinely disgusting.
Yes. And that causes her to seek an abortion.
Yeah.
While she's preparing for the procedure at the clinic, Seth bursts into the hospital and kidnaps her. Stathis tracks them back to Seth's lab, where Seth overpowers Stathis, melting his hand and ankle in high molarity stomach acid. Stathis passes out, and Seth, now calling himself Brundlefly, reveals his plan to merge himself with Veronica and their unborn baby to create the ultimate family. Veronica is averse and fights Brundlefly, and the stress seems to force Brundlefly to fully transform into a gigantic fly, shedding the remnants of the Seth body and now living as a 6-foot, hissing, spluttering insect. Stathis regains consciousness and saves Veronica, but Brundlefly is sent through the teleporter and merged with a teleportation pod. Brundlefly pod crawls to Veronica and indicates that she should execute him with a shotgun, and she does.
Yeah. Very abrupt ending as well.
Yes.
No epilogue. No. Just bang, head explodes.
Yeah.
Done.
Apparently Mel Brooks was a producer in the film, and he said, when your hero is dead, the film is over. And they took that quite literally.
Yeah. Hero?
Well,
I guess. Tragic hero, yeah.
Did you like The Fly?
Yes, it's excellent. It's a very, very good film. The things that I liked about it is the fact of a lot of the things that I liked about it are down to how tightly constructed it is. It's basically only 3 characters, and it's essentially less than 90 minutes long.
Yeah.
Great. And the performances, the pace, the music, special effects, story, like the overall arc of the story, all spot on, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's obviously revered as a sort of 80s horror classic, and also just, I think, a classic film in general. It's one of those horror films that manages to transcend outside of just like horror fandom.
Certainly David Cronenberg's best film, I think.
Yeah. Out of the ones that I've seen, it seems to be,
Yeah. And it's probably the best body horror as well.
Yeah, it's definitely one of them. I mean, like, I don't know whether it's as horrifying as like The Thing is, and they both have that sort of wet, like slimy, just it's almost like if you see any sort of still of it, or just watch a clip on YouTube in isolation of one of the gorier moments, it seems a bit sort of hysterical and over the top, much as The Thing does.
Yeah.
But when it's in the context of the film and you're like in the world, it's just horrific.
Shocking and
it's
upsetting.
stomach churning.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely is.
like there are a few films that really do, like I start feeling a sort of like
nausea.
Yeah, like a bubble at the back of my throat sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I first saw this film, I think, with you. Or certainly when we were 11.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. And
on like a dodgy VHS.
Yeah, well, my dad got me for Christmas one year. And I basically, when I was a preteen, I had the movie and music tastes of a man in his late 30s.
Right.
Thanks to my father.
Yeah.
Which is good, because it means I got to see The Fly. But the problem is, I remember it putting me off my Haribo.
Yeah. It put you off everything. Yeah. I think actually when we watched The Fly, I'm not sure we watched the whole film. I think it was
fast forwarded to the gory bits.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't remember the sex scenes.
Yeah.
Because you would have just gone over your head when you were that young.
Yeah.
Anyway, what the film gets right is its concept. And it's an improvement on the original, to my understanding as well. So the original with Vincent Price, he wasn't actually the man who transformed in the movie, I think.
No.
But that was a man who basically, his head changes with the flies. He has a fly head, which is obviously a bit like cartoony.
That's much closer to the novel, which is again, it's almost like a murder mystery, and a guy's trying to find out what happens. Basically, a guy gets a phone call from his sister-in-law who says, "I've just killed your brother," and he goes over and finds that his brother is dead. And his arm and head has been crushed with a hydraulic press. Yeah. And, intentionally. Yeah. It's not conveniently, it's intentionally.
No, conveniently for the narrative.
Right, yeah. It was called The Fly. But the disturbing part of that version of the story is that basically it's the same thing, transporter pods, and a fly gets in there. He emerges with an arm and a head of a fly, but somewhere there is a fly with a microscopic version of his head on it, which is a lot more like a bit like Metamorphosis as well.
Yeah,
the Kafka
novel,
of which I think there's a there's a line of dialogue which is a reference to that in this as well.
The Fly, yeah.
But yeah, and I was reading a bit about the novel. I haven't read it, but it's quite a sort of on its own merits. It's quite a creepy, like disturbing story, but more of a sort of Edgar Allan Poe, like, you know, creepy, spooky horror, right? As opposed to let's watch this man transform into a hideous monster and like have him explode.
The original is quite gothic, and I think especially the fact that it's black and white and kind of arch.
Yeah. Well, all those sorts of horror movies were back then.
Well, Vincent Price is in it, so exactly. That sums it up. But obviously that, you know, the concept of the film is amazing.
Yeah.
And done excellently. The effects, as you've mentioned, are like almost believable.
Yeah, like I think, I think all the effects are fantastic. Like I said,
even the part at the end where the fly is walking around.
Yeah. Well,
okay. I sense where you're going with that. We'll come to that in a minute, but I think the best part is it's a character study, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Exactly. Right? Yeah.
And you've got Seth Brundle, who is an interesting and compelling character. And he's very likable.
Dresses as Mr. Bean.
Yes, he does. Yeah. I did think that as soon as I saw him.
Yeah.
Veronica is incredibly likable as well and very nice.
Yeah.
And Stathis is a dickhead, and you hate him.
Yeah.
And that's to the credit of the film, because these are it's full intentionality on the director's part, and it works perfectly well.
Yeah. But then even Stathis has like such a well-defined character arc, and it's not quite that he ever like redeems himself, but it does, like he winds up being punished for sort of being such a creep in the first place.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, everyone goes away from that film, the characters that is, with their own trauma.
Yeah. And the Veronica's role is not really like a damsel or anything like that. You know, even though she ends up sort of being She ends up
having to be saved.
Having to be saved. Yeah. She's not really. She's quite a strong, independent woman. She is happy to tell her boss to fuck off because he's been a creep.
Yeah.
Happy to break up with Seth when he's becoming a fly monster. All those sorts of things. And the pregnancy stuff is really like emotive.
Yeah.
Like well portrayed and genuinely really scary.
It is. There's body horror in a number of ways. So you've got the fly, the man who is, his body is degrading and he's turning into a fly, which is like, you can imagine being in that situation and it's being horrible because you're wasting away. I think Cronenberg said it's like meant to be an allegory for illness and terminal illness in general.
Yeah, a lot of people thought it was an allegory for AIDS because of when it was released. That was all in very much in the forefront of people's minds.
But there's no reason it can't be.
I think he said that he was surprised. David Cronenberg said that he was surprised at that, and that wasn't an intentional thing. But he did mean it to be a sort of
terminal illness.
Yeah, exactly, like cancer or whatever, or age, or just old age.
Right, exactly. So you got that body horror, and you know that you're impending doom and a horrible one of that.
Yeah.
And then you got the body horror of having a hybrid fly baby growing inside of you.
Yeah, that could be a maggot.
Yeah, exactly. Which is pretty disgusting.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah,
it's awful.
And then you've also got even Stathis's character has the body horror because he gets his limbs burned off with acid.
Yeah.
While he's conscious.
It's no, like you said, no one comes out of this film with a positive outcome.
Yeah. I guess the lady who he sleeps with as well, she could have a maggot baby as well.
Yeah. Yuck. Do you think that's definitely? Well, I don't know. There is the Fly too.
Have you looked up what the plot of that?
She keeps the baby, and it is a boy, but he starts developing fly characteristics, right?
Yeah. She dies in childbirth. The original plan was to have Seth Brundle in the computer, so his consciousness was in the machine.
Black Mirror.
Yeah. And at the end, he was able to transport back to reality.
Do you think it's worse to turn into something or to have something grow inside of you?
Well, the idea, I guess, in a simple way, and it's not simple at all, but I think in a way, having the thing inside of you, you can have it removed.
In theory, but if we're thinking within the context of horror movies, I can't think of a single instance, apart from maybe Prometheus,
right,
where anyone has a positive outcome from something growing inside of them.
No.
Obviously, you're thinking of Alien and all those sorts of films.
Right, exactly, yeah. Or next week's movie, The Void. The
Void, we should say next week's film. Because of its heavy reliance on practical effects, like The Fly, we're covering last year's film, The Void, or the year before. It's very recent, but it's very much a throwback to this era. And the practical effects are pretty staggering.
They are, yeah. But we'll save that for next week, shall we?
Yeah? I meant in The Fly.
Did you?
Yeah.
We'll save that for next week. Because I want to talk about Spider-Man. So it's interesting that one of the traits that David Cronenberg seems to have given Seth Brundle to make him like a fly is to be annoying and make tapping noises.
Right. Yeah.
Strange. Vincent Price apparently went to see the film, and he wrote to Jeff Goldblum and said it went too far.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Well,
because I'm assuming that you can think of it two ways. Either he's looking at it from he was probably in the 70s at this point, and he's like, this is just
that's a lot for
it's bad taste. Yeah, it's gone too far. Or he's looking at it from an artistic perspective and said, I was with you until a certain point, and you've really taken this too far.
Yeah, I guess because in his version of The Fly and the novel, the fly man retains most of his sanity, so there's never like the transformation into a hideous monster. It's
other than the fact that he's a fly.
Yeah, there is the physical transformation, but less of the sort of
degradation.
Yeah, losing his mind and like his ears falling off and things like that. So I guess in that sense there is. For me, the bit where it goes too far is when the fly head pushes its way out of, Seth's head, because like to me, I don't get like the mechanics of that, because it's like his body has now become like a cocoon for a man-sized fly, and at that point he's no longer like a combination of man and fly traits. He's just a big fly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so it's like it stops being, you know, it stops being as interesting when it's just a big fly.
Yeah,
I think
that's a fair point, because I looked up the life cycle of a fly in preparing for this podcast, and it basically is born a maggot, or born a larva, larva stage 2, then maggot, then cocoon, and then you hatch into the fly.
Right. So maybe it would have been better if he was cocooned or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think what you were referring to in terms of the stuff that Vincent Price might have found a bit rich. Like we said, the effects are completely horrible. You know, the vomit, the acid vomit is
pretty brutal.
Honey, eggs, and milk mixed together. Looks repulsive. Imagine what it smelt like underneath the lights. The maggot baby we've covered. There's a deleted scene which certainly would have been going too far, where Seth combines a baboon with a cat in a sort of first practice run for, you know, Brundle
fly,
or like Brundle combination person, and it comes out as like this horribly mutated baboon cat, which he then beats to death with a lead pipe, and it's like, again, the effects are very impressive.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. It's available on YouTube.
Okay.
And it's the effects are really good, but it is just like he like he still has the wherewithal to get a cat and a baboon and like set up the machines just to like experiment. He's not like a mad person just shoving some people inside a pod.
Right.
Here's the thing though. Who the fuck is giving him all these baboons?
That's a fair point. Yeah, they must be fucking expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's he keeping them?
Yeah, and why baboons?
Yeah,
like of all the are they supposed to be the closest thing that you can get to a human?
Maybe that's it.
But it's not. The transporter doesn't necessitate like human-like things. So just get a cat, or like, not that I want him to turn a cat inside out,
of course.
But like, there are surely easier to get hold of living animals rather than having baboons shipped in. Like, he has 2 shipped in the course of the film. Like, where do you get a baboon from?
Maybe we'll come to this. I think it's going to come up later on when we talk about how we might tackle the issues of the film.
Right.
I've written some extensive notes.
Great.
But in terms of where it goes too far, we were saying just now, Vincent Price, it's gone too far. If he was me and he's saying that, he's thinking he's gone too far at the parts where there was this kind of like Phantom of the Opera thing going on.
Right.
So when she goes to tell him she's pregnant, like she leaves and Stathis is like getting in the car, and there's this shot of Seth as Brundlefly on the roof, and he's kind of like peering over, like Quasimodo looking over the battlements, and he's like, oh, like waving his fist at the sky, and it's like, what? It's supposed to be like Quasimodo. It's supposed to be like Phantom of the Opera, but it comes across as Mac and Me.
Right.
Yeah. And then there's that shot as well where she's in the clinic, and he jumps in and smashes through the window, and you get a full body shot of his costume.
Yeah.
And it looks like the 50s Godzilla.
It looks like the Arrested Development Fantastic Four, the thing suit that Tobias wears.
Yes, it does. It's
Daddy needs to get his rocks off.
Yeah, it's like it's very pantomime and not very scary.
Yeah.
A bit Toxic Avenger maybe.
Yeah.
Silly. Anyway, so Chris, obviously this movie contained a mad scientist.
Right. Okay.
Popular trope in movies. Mm-hmm. You think you know a lot about them?
I know all there is to know.
Oh, good.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, prepare to be tested.
Great.
In my Mad Scientists in Movies quiz.
Right. Okay. So is the quiz mad? Are the scientists mad? Or No, those are the only two things. Is it the scientists or the quiz, Joe, that's mad?
Both.
Is it a mad scientists in movies quiz, or is it mad scientists in movies quiz?
A scientist in movies quiz, which is mad.
Yeah.
It's a quiz. It's a scientists in movies quiz, which is mad because of the number of mad scientists in it.
I see. Great. I can't wait.
So it's not multiple choice. Traditionally, we do multiple choice.
Oh, okay.
You just got to know the answer to this.
Okay.
It's a no prisoners kind of approach.
Sure.
Question 1.
Mm-hmm.
Doc Brown is the lovable scientist in Back to the Future,
Yeah.
Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3, and Back to the Future The Ride.
Yeah.
Like Seth Brundle, Doc Brown wanted to teleport people, though of course he wanted to travel through time and not space. Also like Dr. Brundle, Doc Brown used an animal subject to test his machine. What was the name of his dog?
I don't know. I'm going to say, because I'm more of an expert on the scientists and their work than the pets.
Who is his dog?
I'm going to say Toto. It's such a bad answer.
It was Einstein.
Einstein, of course. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was my second.
0 for 1.
Right.
Question 2. Dr. Joseph Heiter is the lovable scientist who stitched the mouths of his victims to the anuses of other victims in The Human Centipede.
Lovely guy.
Tom Six, the director of the movie, has claimed that the movie is 100% medically accurate. Is that true or false?
I would say that's false.
Correct. It is baloney.
Good. Thank God.
So you're half right so far.
Yeah.
Question 3. Dr. Frank N. Furter is the lovable scientist who acts as a kind of Frankenstein-esque figure in the hit Rocky Horror Picture Show. According to actor Tim Curry, what sexuality best applies to Frank N. Furter?
Sexuality?
Sexuality, yeah.
Bisexual? Or asexual?
Chris. Pansexual.
Is that because he is interested in transsexual people as well as... He's interested in all sexualities as well as...
Pansexuality is the sexual, romantic, or emotional attraction towards people regardless of their sex or gender identity.
Yeah.
So, there you have it.
Right.
So, 1 out of 3.
Okay.
Question 4. Dr. Emilio Lizardo is the lovable scientist in the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension.
Okay.
True or false? Do you hear it again?
Yes.
Dr. Emilio Lizardo is the lovable scientist in the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension.
I'm going to say that is false.
It's true.
Okay.
Great question. Challenging.
Yeah.
Dr. Strangelove is the lovable scientist in Dr. Strangelove.
Are they all lovable
or
scientists?
How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Yeah.
The movie was nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture. In all the movies ever nominated for a Best Picture Oscar, in what way does this movie break a record? Sorry, the better question might be, what record does this movie break? Yeah, all the Best Picture nominations throughout the years. What's this got that's significant?
It's got a man riding an atomic bomb.
Correct. Yeah. It's about a nuclear. No. It's. Do you want to know the answer?
Yeah.
It has the longest title. 13 words.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Good quiz.
Yeah.
One out of
5. I need to do some more research.
Yeah, I should have revised.
Yeah. I was thinking about The Fly.
Okay. I should hope so.
Yes. I was thinking, what would be the best animal to combine yourself with?
Logically, probably like an ape of some kind.
Incorrect, and I'll tell you why. My extensive research led me to Listverse's 10 amazing animal abilities,
right.
Because as we know, the trajectory, if you undergo this treatment, is you get the beneficial stuff, then the non-beneficial stuff, and then you become the animal.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Or a mutant version of the animal.
Yeah. So basically, the only tangible benefit that you can possibly have is from having a good ability at the start. Right. So here are 10 amazing animal abilities from Listverse.
Just a quick question before that.
Yeah.
If you were to mould with an elephant, would you be an elephant-sized man or a man-sized elephant?
I think you'd be a man-sized. Well, I don't know.
Because
at the moment it scales up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So would he come out of he wouldn't fit in the telepod, would he? Well, he would have to build a larger telepod to accommodate an elephant in the first place, wouldn't he? So it was back to these 10 amazing animal abilities that are no doubt meticulously researched by Listverse.
Okay.
Number 10, the Borneo Hill Ninja Slug,
right?
Which can fire calcium carbonate love darts packed with hormones, which will basically entice a mate.
The problem with that is, you would be relying on mating with a Borneo ninja slug.
I think it would translate up, wouldn't it?
Well, so you think if you're in a club on a Friday night and you start shooting calcium deposits at people, they're going to be like,
because he wouldn't. You'd be firing off human hormones, wouldn't you? Or at least slug hormones laced with human hormones.
Do you not think the sight of someone shooting calcium deposits?
Yeah, I do, mate. Yeah, I do.
It would
I think it would be off-putting, yeah. Number 9, the self-immunising opossum, which carries a LTNF, which is lethal toxin neutralising factor protein. Self-explanatory, basically.
Very useful if you're going to get poisoned.
Yeah, well, opossums are hunted by lots of snakes.
Snakes, yeah.
So it's very, very useful for them.
But if you did that, if you Chris Morris merged with a possum, which is self-immunising, you wouldn't get much from that. You don't live near any snakes.
Live near enough to you, mate. Number 8. Number 8. Hippos have a sort of blood sweat sunscreen. Don't know if you knew this. They sweat a blood-like sunscreen substance, which mixes and forms a sort of mucus barrier through which UV and other light from the sun cannot penetrate. Therefore, they do not get sunburn.
Thing is,
number 7.
when you said this is like the best thing you could get when you transform.
Yeah.
Imagine that you come out of the thing.
You come out, you go, oh, that's good. I don't need to wear sunscreen. Oh, no, I'm a hippo. Number 7, flying snake. They can glide up to 100 metres without wings. And they do this by staggering their body and leaping out of trees, basically.
It's falling with style.
Basically, yeah. You get the same if you put yourself in the telepod with a Buzz Lightyear toy. Number 6, suicidal ant.
Why?
Number 6, suicidal ant. Their heads explode with a sticky toxin which immobilise predators, and the rest of the colony can then attack and kill the predator.
Overwhelm it.
Not so good if you're the first and only Joe suicidal ant. Or Sherville suicidal ant, as you'd be called.
If we're recording the podcast and some sort of predator gets in here, my head would explode and coat it in acid.
Yeah, exactly.
But also presumably coat you in acid.
Probably, yeah. Number 5, the pistol shrimp.
Okay, sounds pretty cool.
So they're 3 to 5 centimetres long, but they have a claw that they can snap together with such force that it can produce a bubble which travels at 60 miles an hour, which can knock predators away. And it also creates a 218 decibel sound. So 218 decibel, that's like
plane
double a plane taking off.
Fucking hell. A shrimp?
Yeah.
How big is it?
3 to 5 centimetres.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Listverse. I mean, I have no doubts about Listverse's research
scrutiny.
Yeah. So that's fine. So basically, you'd be walking around and you could clap your hands, And I mean, if you scaled that up, if you scaled it up, I mean, you might have to have one like enormous hand, but if you scaled that up, a 6 foot man, that's gonna like level cities. It's gonna be a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah, you click your finger and break every window in town.
Yeah. Number 4, the bombardier beetle, which can mix 2 internal enzymes to create a chemical reaction that reaches near boiling point, and then they spray that liquid at predators.
That's quite cool, I suppose.
Yeah. So basically, if a predator's coming towards you, or if you're, Chervil beetle, you can just go and like mix those chemicals together and then just like spit it at them. Be like a sort of like throwing boiling water over them.
Great. I mean, a lot of these.
I mean, all of these have the cost of you eventually becoming a pistol shrimp or a flying snake or whatever.
The problem as well is these are all really good, but I don't have any predators because I live in a city.
Yeah, you live in a loft in New York or whatever. Number 3, the mimic octopus, which can imitate a range of predators to scare off attackers and is known to tailor its mimicry to the predator that it's facing.
Okay. What would you mimic to scare me?
I'd mimic watching the films with enough time for us to appropriately plan the episodes. Number 2, the self-healing axolotl. Self-explanatory.
We're all self-healing. Any living thing surely has some.
Yeah, but it can grow a new limb in a matter of months.
Really?
Yeah.
An axolotl?
Yeah.
Yeah, like newts, aren't they?
Yeah. Weird-looking things, aren't they? Quite genial looking though. Wouldn't be the worst thing to transform into if you're going to transform into a 6 foot version of one of these.
It'd be pretty minging.
They've got a sort of cartoony face, though, haven't they?
Yeah, they have, but I don't think you're going to be like endearing people to you if you're 6 foot.
Would you rather be an axolotl or a suicidal ant? It's a moment of stress, your head literally explodes. Number 1, should we have a recap of the top 10?
Yeah, rundown.
Number 10, Borneo Hill Ninja Slug.
Oh, of course.
That's just like free word association, isn't it? Number 9, self-immunising opossum. Number 8, hippo blood sweat sunscreen. 7, flying snake. 6, suicidal ant. 5, pistol shrimp. 4, bombardier beetle. 3, mimic octopus. 2, self-healing axolotl. And number 1, amazing animal ability from Listverse, is the immortal jellyfish.
Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah,
where they can basically, after they've reached sexual maturity, they can return to a polyp state and grow again as a new adult. And they can do this indefinitely. So as long as you never get eaten or
run out of resources.
Yeah, you can basically. So what would happen is you'd be Joe Jellyfish, and then when you reach sexual maturity, which should be in the post for you at some point, mate. Then after that, you'll go back to like child version of Joe, and then grow up, reach sexual maturity, and go back again.
So
until you became
Joe.
You became a 6 foot jellyfish.
Yeah. The problem is, I'd have to around. I suppose I went in the machine now.
Yeah.
Like I'm 26 now. That'd be like, around my 26th birthday, I'd be like, better get down the beach because
exactly.
if this happens now, I'm fucked.
It'd be a jellyfish bursting out of your shell flesh cocoon.
Yeah.
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 That is weird, isn't it? Because basically, for the whole, when he goes and gets her from the hospital, that's basically a giant fly wearing a man suit.
Yep.
That's mad, isn't it?
He can talk still.
Yeah. Not one. So when he bursts out of the Seth coating, he destroys whatever apparatus
he had to talk with.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't think about it too hard. All right. Advice. Okay. With that said, we now know what we'd be if we. I mean, what would you be out of those? Axolotl, probably. You sounded pretty impressed.
The jellyfish is alright, no?
I mean, jellyfish is pretty shit.
Yeah, but you've got the whole ocean.
I think I'd be a cat.
That wasn't on the list, mate.
Doesn't matter.
Cats don't have any amazing abilities, mate. Unless you count scratching shit up and
meowing.
Yeah.
The thing is, I watch my cats all day and I think, if I was a cat, I'd be well happy. But then if I was a Chervil cat and like my entire body was like ripped to shreds, and then I was 6 foot and just like a weeping mess.
Yeah. Like Hannah comes home and you're like going from a standing start to leaping to the top of a bookshelf.
Yeah.
And she's like, fucking hell, that was impressive. But then like you start licking your own genitals.
Yeah. And weeks later,
carry on licking your own genitals.
My skin falls off and I'm just a bald wreck.
Yeah. Well, surely you'd grow fur if you were becoming a...
Well, I don't know.
But you'd be a bald wreck and then out of your cocoon a cat would burst.
Cats don't come from cocoons, though. I'd have to be a kitten. I don't know. I don't know, mate. I just don't know. It's a minefield.
Get David Cronenberg on the phone.
All right, how to survive. How would you survive if you were accidentally spliced with a fly?
Well, I'm gonna skirt around trying to survive if I was Brundle, and instead ask a very simple question, which is, why doesn't Stathis call the police?
Yeah.
So the point in time that I'm talking about is when Brundle goes and kidnaps Veronica from the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And then he drives on his own to Brundle's loft with a gun. I don't know if he goes and gets that beforehand.
Well, he surely didn't drive around town with it.
Well, then he goes home, gets his gun, goes to Brundle's lab, loads it, and then
arrives before them.
Yeah, and promptly gets his hand and foot burned off. Right.
You know, the hand burning method is the same used on the face of the matey in Indiana Jones.
Yes, yeah, it's like fast. It's like gelatin and fast, slow camera.
Same guy who did it anyway. So,
yeah. So, like, just call the police. Don't even mention that he's half fly.
Right.
It's not like the police are going to be less inclined to shoot him dead when they see that he's like
a bulging mess.
Yeah, horrifying
roid head.
Yeah, exactly. Like who's like snivelling, climbing all over the walls, vomiting up acid. They're going to be more likely to shoot him than less likely.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just say he's a violent psychopath. Like you've got other witnesses in the hospital to say that a man leapt through a 3rd-story window, grabbed a woman and leapt out of the window with her.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening at the hospital while all this is happening, by the way? Is it just like he runs in, sees the broken window, and then just without saying anything runs out of the hospital and the doctors and that are just going,
what happened?
Fucking, did she just leap out the window? Like a pregnant woman just leapt fully out of the window and like ran away. Yeah.
Like, get my gun.
Yeah. So basically, why doesn't he phone the police? He could just phone the police. The police would get there before him, probably with guns.
Yeah.
He wouldn't put himself in direct danger. He'd put people who are trained to deal with these sorts of situations. Not necessarily, bizarre fly man. But I guess you could say that if he said that they had a hostage, they might like all surround the building, try and open a line of communication. Meanwhile, Brundle's putting her in a teleportation pod.
Right, exactly, yeah. So he needs to act quickly. But he doesn't know that.
No, and also he doesn't know that, he doesn't know that that's definitely what they're going to do anyway. And, I mean, I don't know what police policy is. Presumably, if they couldn't get in touch with him, they wouldn't just like go, well, I'll just wait. Yeah. They'd go into the building to get her back
the door
anyway.
In, yeah. You're right. And the other thing, though, is do you think he's a bit of a chauvinist, isn't he, old Stathis? Do you think he's like, a bit of white knight? He's going to ride into town and save the day for himself.
I get the impression that he's sort of been a bit like cowed by everything that's happened. Like he looks genuinely horrified when he's watching the video of Brundle eating, like vomiting and then eating
donut,
it. Yeah. So I wonder if he's sort of, don't know, he seems quite like earnestly trying to help. He's not like trying to do it just to win her over.
No, he's just like, disgusted by the situation.
Yeah.
Okay, fair point. So to summarise your point, it's call the police.
Yeah.
Yeah? I can't argue with it.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm.
What about you?
Well, we touched on it earlier.
Mm-hmm. Become an axolotl.
Is basically to not put a baboon through, because the baboon dies painfully.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. Don't put the baboon through.
Don't experiment on a baboon.
Yeah.
Or
do you know what? Go to the pet shop. So, do you have any dead rats?
Right.
Use that.
Yeah, that's true.
Dead animals.
Does he say that it's having a problem with living tissue?
Yeah, but
he puts a
does it with
steak through.
Yeah, exactly. So he goes baboon then steak, which seems misguided, I'd say.
Yeah, baboon fail, steak fail, baboon succeed.
Yeah, himself.
Yeah, Brundlefly
fail.
Yeah, qualified success.
Yeah, it's a strange, like he could have gone with a plant, an orange.
You know, he puts himself. He has a plan to get pure human genes to put in the pods to put himself back through, like a sort of cleansing thing to cure himself. Now, it's like isn't it like 0.2% of the total mass in there is the fly?
Something like that, yeah.
Right. So presumably he would have to have like 1,000 people,
right,
in order to get the same level of purity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's mad by that point.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fucked as soon as he goes in the machine.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if he doesn't realise it at the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
So what? How is that going to help him survive though? If he doesn't
test
how the
baboon survive.
Right. But that's not something that the baboon can action.
Well, if old Brundlefly, the artist formerly known as Seth, wants, net survival, I'm including the baboon in that.
Yeah. Okay.
And he, don't test on animals for one thing, but then don't test on animals before you tested. Certainly before you tested on an orange or a steak.
Yeah.
Or a dead animal of any kind, a dead bird that you found in the park, anything. It does seem like smashing a walnut with a sledgehammer.
It's like a baboon.
Where did you get that?
Yeah. Like that's not easy to come by.
If you gave me £1 million, I wouldn't be able to find you a baboon.
Yeah.
Like if you I'll give you anything you want.
Yeah.
If you find me a baboon.
Here's a blank check.
Yeah.
Get me a baboon now. Like, where would you start?
Exactly. Google it, I guess.
I guess.
I don't know.
But you're in 1986, so.
That's true. You ring up the exotic pets emporium.
Was were regulations a bit more lax back then?
I don't know. Well, presumably to get the grant, he had to apply for ethics, right?
Yeah.
And
what?
The
unless they're so shady that they're not bothered.
Yeah, he's broken. I mean, he has broken ethics.
Yeah. Yeah. What, the half man, half fly? What do you reckon? Right.
Yeah. Experimenting on himself.
Yeah.
Risky business.
Yeah. What? The guy who tries to put a pregnant woman through a transporter to merge it with himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
You might be struck off for that.
Yeah, maybe. Second survival idea from me.
Go on.
Don't get drunk at work.
Never helps, does it?
Yeah, no job in the world is likely to. There's no job in the world where it's likely to improve your performance.
No.
I mean, all heavy machinery comes with warnings saying don't operate under the influence of alcohol.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that was there any regulation with teleporter pods?
Yeah.
That sort of warning would be included.
Yeah. No, don't be drunk and charge, basically.
Yeah. It's a bit of an oversight on his part. basically he's at work getting drunk. I think that's the problem. And I think a lot of people, even people who work from home say that it's important to separate your work and your home life as much as possible. Yeah. So
he does almost sleep in the pods though.
Exactly. I think that's a mistake. If he lived apart from where he worked, he wouldn't have the temptation to just go, fuck it, I'll get drunk and put myself through the transporter pod.
Right.
And there'll accidentally be a fly in there.
But he wasn't drinking for recreation at that point. He was
drinking, out of like
pain.
Yeah,
to numb the emotional pain.
Yeah, but you wouldn't do that in the office. I don't think.
No,
you'd go home and get really drunk if you were.
That's
upset.
true. Yeah. If like your girlfriend broke up with you, well, she didn't break up with you. She just went out. But if you were at work and your girlfriend broke up with you, you wouldn't stay there alone and drinking. You'd just go like, well, I'll go to the pub.
Yeah.
You're right, and there's no risk if you go to the pub. There's no risk of you being turned into a fly.
Yeah, he might still, but then I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to go back to work drunk either. Like if I worked in an office or whatever, where I was like, I'm going to go do some office things that I was too scared to do when I was sober. The idea of going back to work where there's probably a night porter or something, it'd be off-putting.
That's true. If you edit videos. So if it was a particularly difficult edit, and you were like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the timing right on this to edit on the beat. Yeah. So I'll drink a bottle of champagne.
I'll drink down a bottle of whiskey, go back, and then put that music video up on YouTube myself with my own version of it.
Yeah. Do you think you'd last long with the job if you did that?
Probably not. No. Yeah, maybe like Seth, I'd find like
you've turned into a YouTube video.
Yeah.
My final idea is for old Stathis, much like yours, which was called the police. Mine is don't bother with a gun, just get some Raid.
Right.
Raid for our American listeners is well, maybe you have that.
I think Raid is an American
international brand. Fly killer, fly killing spray.
Yeah. Would you put those two things together though? I'm not sure you would. And also, Raid would work on a human. It's like it might not kill them.
Right.
It would kill them in a large enough quantity.
Yeah, but hurt them.
Yeah.
Hurt their eyes.
And also, isn't it? But I guess part of the reason that Raid is effective is because flies are so small and it would like coat their whole body
in the acid, right? Or the chemical.
Yeah. Whereas. So he would need like a fire truck filled with Raid and like pump it into his apartment.
You'd make a fair point. In which case that would kill a human anyway.
I mean, but in terms of like distracting or incapacitating Brundlefly, it's as good as anything. Like mace would also work.
Yeah. A baseball bat to the face.
Yeah, like furniture polish, whatever. If you're going to spray something in someone's face, it's going to do them some harm.
Yeah.
So you can't go far wrong.
I mean, to be fair, the best thing to spray him with is a 12-ball shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
so in many ways, you've come round to his idea.
Yeah.
And if the police are there, even better.
Yeah.
Why not instead of calling the police, why don't you call pest control? Yeah.
Do you know what you should hit him with? A rolled up newspaper?
Yeah.
A fly swatter?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They didn't think that, did they?
No. Put up giant strips of fly paper. Or get one of those giant neon lights that they have in restaurant kitchens.
Yeah, you'd walk into it. Yeah. That'd have been a good scene in the movie. He's walking down the strip at night. He's walking into a window.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'd be good. Is one of the indicators that he's turning into a fly is that he forgets that windows are a thing. He just like starts bumping into things. Yeah, yeah, that would be good.
When we remake it,
yeah, exactly,
we'll get it right.
Well, we can't do it next week though, Joe.
No,
because we are venturing into the void.
Yeah, The Void is a movie which is kind of like a love letter to old 80s physical effects horror. Mm-hmm. It's available on Amazon to rent.
Only 99p at the moment.
Yeah, a steal. A steal. It's going to be good to talk about next week. Yeah. It's a good film.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching it. I'm sure you did as well.
Yeah, it came out last year or the year before.
Yeah, not entirely sure. But do check it out on Amazon or whatever means you have of watching movies. Mm-hmm. And we'll see you next week
Yeah.
for The Void. If you've enjoyed what you've heard this week, do get in touch with us on HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com or on Twitter @HowToSurvivePod or on Facebook at facebook.com/HowToSurvivePod.
Yeah.
And also be sure to leave us a review on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Flycatcher. Is that Flycatcher a thing?
Yeah. Why
Cool.
not?
Great.
Fly swatter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely leave us a review. 5 stars is the language of love.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it. If we could leave you a 5-star review, we certainly would. But unfortunately...
So it's only fair
Yeah.
if you do the same for us.
And in the meantime, buzz off!
Great.